Green light is on. Welcome to Search for Mighty Max. This is the show where me and my brother search for, find, and talk about toys. So it's the end of July, July 31st. The movie Deadpool and Wolverine just came out in theaters. Me and my girlfriend went and saw it, and I had a super grand fun time. I was like, I had low expectations going in. The first two Deadpool movies, I was like, these are kind of fun. These are kind of cool. I'm not a huge X-Men fan, but I have kind of kept up over the years with those movies, and there was so much hype for it. I was like, I do want to go see it. I want to see what happens, but the bar was low, and that just really it's super fun. So if you haven't seen already, don't watch this video because I'm going to give you hella spoilers throughout this video. And if you watch this before going and seeing it yourself, then that's your fault. So spoiler alert for this whole episode. So we went and got a popcorn bucket and this cool little drink thing with the Wolverine on top. It has this lid on it. I'm going to see if I can show you the top of this thing. I know there's tons of other buckets out there. There's Headpool and Baby Deadpool. But this one's got a whooshink from Wolverine on the top. It's 10. A little bit of popcorn bucket ASMR for you. So yeah, I like the popcorn buckets. Our local theater doesn't have all the fancy ones, but just having just something, it can be really cool. And I like drinking out of these movie theater cups. I don't know what my deal is about that, but I still drink out of my Ninja Turtles one. They're just fun. They're just fun. They're good old fashioned fun. So yeah, standard popcorn bucket, standard drink cup, cool little Wolverine on the top. What are you gonna do, right? So yeah, so that just came out the end of July 2024. Went and saw it. Super fun. Inspired me to do an episode, which is great because we were doing episode 12 for 1,000 years. We escaped. We're now on episode 14. We're back into episode 14. My whole idea for this was we need to straighten out the SfMMCU. The Search for Mighty Max cinematic universe needs to be set back in place so we can go through our episodes in some kind of order. Started getting super crazy all over the place. We've been skipping around, me and my brother, to all these different episodes and topics and concepts and ideas and fandoms and just all over the place. So hopefully we can get back on track with episode 14, whatever part this is, and straighten out the SfMMCU. Search for Mighty Max cinematic universe. So you got the Search for Mighty Max cinematic universe. You got the Marvel cinematic universe. You got all these other verses, and then you have this X-Men thing, the Foxverse or something. That's the studio, right? So now it's been sold to Disney because Disney now owns everything, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Probably. I mean, we got this movie, so that's fun. So whatever, I guess. The multiverse stuff has been getting wearing pretty thin, but I think in terms of this movie, I think I think the way that they went about it was super fun and interesting. There was so much fan service through this whole movie, and I'm okay with that. I'm down with that. And then the X-Men's all about teams and team ups and everything like that. So they brought in a lot of characters that maybe you wouldn't expect. So that was also super fun. So spoilers, Gambit is finally in the movie, played by Channing Tatum, which was so cool to see because Gambit's one of my favorite characters. The relationship between Gambit and Rogue is super interesting. And that just kind of starts to transition from, this movie to some of the Wolverine stories and Gambit and Rogue stories. So my whole deal with X-Men has always been I'm going to read the stories in the comic books. I don't really care too much about the figures. That's kind of like how I know some of this stuff, but I don't actually try to go out of my way to collect stuff. So I did pick up just recently, I picked up like a Wolverine figure. It's Battle Ravaged Wolverine, and he has like the bone claws. So that's kind of interesting that I got this figure out of all the ones that are out there. And then I got this Sabretooth guy, which that was fun, seeing Wolverine and the original Sabretooth face off, and he cuts off his head. Whooshing! So that was pretty rad. Let's see. I got Storm over here, which I opened the box because I got it for $5, so I figured why not just open it. Psylocke. Oh, excuse me. Psylocke would be a movie I'd be interested in seeing. Just a solo movie. That'd be rad. I got 2 Psylocke figures here. One still in the box. That's the Ninja Psylocke, and then a standard Psylocke. I think that's a really interesting character with the dual personality type of thing. And then these ones are kind of interesting because what the heck even are they? Ugh. So I have the backing cards for these. Marvel's Most Wanted. So Spat and Grovel is here. I don't even know who's Spat and who's Grovel. But interestingly enough, those characters are from Uncanny X-Men number 350, which is called Gambit's Trial, which is actually a pretty big deal in the comics and the story behind Gambit. And then the other character is Blink. So she can like teleport or something. She's got a teleporter thing over here, so that's kind of interesting. And then the last one is called X-Man, but I don't have that figure, and I don't care. I don't care to. So in that movie you got Gambit. We'd actually watched the Wolverine Origins again because Gambit is also in that movie, played by Taylor Kish, which he did a pretty good job. It's just not the Gambit that I was expecting, and that movie is a little whack, especially when you see his CGI claws for the first time. Once they're covered in the adamantium, oh my god, so much cheese. But Hugh Jackman, like he does really well in those movies. Like he carries the Wolverine mantle and he does a good job with it. So even though some of those movies are kind of whack, like he still tries to do his best, which I appreciate. But yeah, definitely less about the figures and more about the comics. So a couple of the comics that I have here. I got a What If comic. What if the Hulk had killed Wolverine? Because that's the first appearance of Wolverine. He's fighting against the Hulk, interestingly enough. This was a What If comic what if the Hulk actually killed Wolverine? And that was the first time that I was introduced to Wolverine, is this comic. This comic is this one right here in my hands from my childhood. First time I read about it. Super violent, super awesome. Gotta go with the shiny covers. I was like, what is going on with this? What is this character? He's got some knives sticking out of his hands. What the freaking hell? So that was the first time I'd seen the character Wolverine. And I was like, yes, this is cool. And then I bought this one later in life, the House of M storyline. Features Wolverine on the cover. Because spoilers, if you haven't read this, super interesting story where Scarlet Witch pretty much recreates reality, gives everybody kind of their wish. And Wolverine's wish is he wants to remember everything. So he also remembers that he's not in the right reality because reality has been recreated. I originally got it because I liked the Spider-Man story in it. Spider-Man is also part of it. He gets his memory wiped and everything. And he actually is with Gwen Stacy, marries Gwen Stacy. She's still alive. Uncle Ben's still alive. Their lives are different. But Wolverine is a huge part of that story because he can remember and bring them back to the actual reality. That's a really good story. House of M. So those are kind of my 2 Wolverine stories that I have. In terms of other Wolverine stories I had, or I like checked them out from the library or something, some of the other stories for Wolverine, like Weapon X by Windsor Smith, was a really cool story. I saw some comment somewhere that said like that would be a really cool horror movie, just like the brutalness of it. And I absolutely agree. Like that would be a sick movie if they just really drenched in the horror aspect of it. Because it's freaking surgery. Like surgery fucking sucks. And just oh my god, so brutal. They showed in the movie like, oh, it takes like 5 seconds. Like here's your adamantium. Fuck no. Like no. Like that whole process took forever. And then he was brainwashed and all this other bullshit. Oh my god, like Weapon X, that story is the best way to like really understand that whole transformation for the character. But yeah, there's some other cool stories out there. Like when he goes to Japan, I read that story as well. I just don't have a copy, but I do have some copies of some Gambit stories. So I've been following the Gambit Rogue stories for a while. They are pretty freaking interesting. He's in the X-Men run. Really early on in I know he's earlier. This is kind of the first story that I remember reading that was like a bigger deal. X-Men number 8 and 9, where like his ex-wife shows up and they got to go to New Orleans and take care of some stuff, and you got Wolverine there being part of the picture. So that's an interesting story. And I like some of these covers. They're just cool. So Gambit and Rogue looks cool. I know there's one where they actually like kiss because they think the world's ending. I think that's in issue number 41 if I remember correctly. I don't have a copy of that one. But I do have X-Men 45, which this is my absolutely favorite cover. Like that is so freaking rad. And then I have just kind of the story on the back here of 350 because I know that was a big deal, but I really don't like the artwork in Uncanny X-Men 350. It just looks super different and weird. I definitely like this artwork, which is a Jim Lee. I forget like who the artist is. I'm gonna say Jim Lee. I'll put it like a subtitle if I'm wrong. And then here's some of the later stories. They take forever to freaking advance the plot for Gambit and Rogue. There's all these backstories of like, even with this one, Bishop comes back, right, and he's like, I come from the future, and this guy that I think it's Gambit, but he's like an evil dude or something, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So there's always like this mystery with Gambit, like what's up with this guy? And then he had some dealings with Mr. Sinister, and it's all kinds of all over the place. And then Rogue has all her craziness because she can't touch anybody and can't do nothing. But then there's like problems with her brain and the development process. So Professor X has to like step in to like help her. And then there's all this crazy stuff with Cable, and then their mutant babies aren't able to be born anymore or something. Like so much crazy shit going on all the time in the X-Men comics. But I just kind of am looking for those ones that have the cool covers. So, looking at these covers, I forgot the camera was on this side. So, showing these covers again on this side. That one's the best. It's actually a trifold, so it opens up to be all huge, but I don't want to mess it up, so I'm not going to take it out of there. Alright, showing some of these covers. So freaking rad. Alright, so this is the one. This one came out recently. This is Rogue and Gambit. It's not the best story, being completely honest. But I did get number 1 because it's got Spider-Man in it as well. And I said, what? That's a cool cover. I'm going to grab that. But this is the cover. Like, you can't go wrong with the Savage Land Rogue. Like, it's fucking hot, right? Like, holy crap. So I thought that was a really cool cover. And I was like, I'm gonna get that. I'm not gonna get the whole. It's 1 through 5 or something like that, and I just got 1 and 4. And then I have Rogue and Gambit. This is something different than I just showed. I'm pretty sure. Rogue and Gambit. Gotta be. Yeah, because these are 2 different years. So Rogue and Gambit. Ring of Fire. Rogue and Gambit, Ring of Fire. That's what this graphic novel is called. So they end up getting married too, and it's Mr. and Mrs. X or something like that. Another graphic novel explores their marriage. But this is kind of like when they were working through some stuff before so they could get married, right? And advance the plot. Like, come on, man. Like, we know they need to be together. And then I have an issue of Spider-Man because why not? And I thought that was a cool cover, and it's a little bit shiny, which can't go wrong with that. And we got Spider-Man, and we got Gambit, and we got the Black Cat. So I thought that's a pretty sick cover. I'm gonna pick that up. But yeah, I always kind of followed the comic book story of Gambit and Rogue, because I like their relationship and I like the story behind their relationship, and their kind of individual stories can be interesting as well. It just seems like they're so sparingly written for some reason. Like nobody wants to touch the characters and their relationship together. But when writers finally do, I'm like, yep, let me pick that up, let me read it. So this is what I have for my X-Men stuff. Deadpool and Wolverine was a sick-ass movie. Seeing the team, you got Gambit, you got Blade showing up, you got X-23, you got Elektra. Chris Evans showing up, being the Human Torch, Flame On. I'm just listing all the spoilers I can think of. Sabretooth getting his head cut off. Just the intro scene was freaking sick. We actually went to a 3D version of it. Anna had accidentally got the 3D theater tickets, so we went to a 3D viewing of the movie, which we were both like, "Oh no, is this going to be horrible?" But it was actually super sick for this movie because of all the fighting and the blades and his swords, which I have these cool swords up now for the Adventure Time stuff. Just kind of a mention because those are sick, and I remember that those are behind me because I just mentioned swords. But yeah, the movie was sick. X-Men can be fun, and trying to think if there's anything else I need to say so I don't have to come back and film some more stuff because I forgot to say something. But yeah, Gambit's sick. I hope Channing Tatum like gets a chance to do like a solo movie or something. If not, at the very least, at least we got him in a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So that was fun to see him fighting and doing his thing. I know he's been wanting to play that character for a while, and it was sick, and I definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, this has been a Search for Mighty Max, part of episode 14. And with all that being said, webs out. Peace out. I completely forgot that I actually have something kind of special in this cup. Pretty funny. I forgot that we walked out of the movie theater and we forgot to give these back. So these are like the 3D glasses. But I don't have a 3D TV or a 3D Blu-ray player or 3D Blu-rays. But these are the 3D glasses. We have 2 pairs. So if we end up getting like a TV and a player and some Blu-rays, then I guess we can watch 3D movies at home. But if not, then it's just kind of fun having these glasses. So yeah, super fun. Webs out, peace out. but our local theater usually just gets like the standard tins. So this is the one that we got. Oh crap! That was fun. A little bit of a popcorn bucket ASMR. This wasn't even on. God damn it, dude. Get to redo all of that. But you know what? That's fine.